just telling you, I have fought fear and panic for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'll come here anytime you want, and I'll teach anything you want me to teach. I'm just plugged in, I'm ready to go. But when Susan told me to come here and teach on faith, I thought, well, this is going to be great, because I don't know anything about faith that Tom didn't teach me. So I don't know anything about faith that Tom didn't teach me, so I'm going to come here and teach these people about faith. This ought to really be good. So y'all tell me how good it was after it's over, even if it wasn't. We'll make a good confession and move on from there. I added up this morning on the way up here. Jerry Savelle preached my ordination service and laid hands on me, and I was ordained 47 years ago. Lord. And I can remember. I can remember as clear as, sitting right here when I was 11 years old. My dad was diagnosed with cancer. They had to take a kidney out, and the end of the story, y'all. He went on and lived a long, long life. But I was 11 years old, and I was mentally preparing myself. You know how you think, well, my dad's old, and he's probably going to die. And he's going to the hospital, and he's got cancer, and he's probably going to die. And he's old. Old people die. And some years ago, I started adding up. Well, I was 11. He was 36. So I went around to all my kids, my grandkids. I'm not old. So, but in my mind, when you're that age, well, boy, he's old. I was just telling Tom and Bonnie, my grandfather, he was 94 in our church, and he used to talk about that elderly woman. What's her name? The elderly. Whew. So anyway, that's all kind of old as a relative term. I love coming here to this church and teaching. And I'm looking forward to tonight. I love coming here and teaching, and if you don't do this for a living, then you probably are not even aware of this. But this is what I call a teaching ministry. That's what this is, a teaching ministry. So the people who come here are people who like teaching. And I go to places that are not teaching ministries. There are places that make you feel good, and I like to feel good. There are churches that entertain you, and hey, I like to be entertained. I'm good. But for me, that's not fun for me to go in and teach in a ministry that's not a teaching ministry, because I don't fit in. And they kind of look at me, and I look at them, and boy, I gave them my best shot, and it wasn't entertaining, and it wasn't all that fun, and it was, so I like coming here. I really like coming here because this is the teaching ministry, and I don't feel like I have to start at step one, and I'll trying to figure out, okay, I don't want to talk, what do I need to go back and cover? And I guess I like teaching high school and college. I don't like teaching pre-K. And I'm all for pre-K. We have to have it. But I like teach on the college level. So we'll just start off with, y'all know the Word. You came here knowing the Word. And so we'll just dive in. And we'll just start from there and dive in. John 17 tells us that we are in the world, but we're not of the world. And God has a new life for us. It's a different life for us. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. We live different. Now, I don't mean we come to church on Sunday and other people go fishing on Sunday. No, I'm talking about we think, we act, we walk, we talk, we dress, we entertain. But we live a different kind of life than the world lives. And Habakkuk, Hebrews, Colossians, Romans tell us that kind of life is we live by faith. See, the just, that's us. Those have been made right through the blood of Jesus. We live by faith. That means there are people who don't live by faith. But for the just, we live by, and I tell people all the time, on the construction site or wherever I am, and, oh, wait, I'm sorry, they were cuss words, and Cuss words don't bother me. Cuss all day long. I don't care. It does not affect me. You're lost and you're going to hell. So the fact that you cuss is what I expect from you. Now, this guy over here that's in church every time the door's open, see, that offends me when he cusses. You know, that offends me whenever well, wait just a minute. Now, I'm highly offended, but I don't have, see, the just live different. Well, I can't believe what they did. Why can't you believe they're in the world? That's the way the world talks. That's the way the world lives. That's the way the world thinks. And that doesn't shock me, surprise me, offend me, upset me in any way. That's the way they live. But for us, we live different. We just live different. And we are called to live by faith. We're called to live by faith. That's the way we live. Now, RCC is known to be, and you may not know this, but it's known to be a faith church. It's known to be a faith church. I get that. I understand what that label means. I am thrilled that this church has that label. I don't want to nitpick. I don't want to get nitpicky here on words. But churches are not faith churches. The word doesn't call a church to be a faith church. Faith is the way the saved live. And I'm not trying to nitpick here, but I want to make sure we got an understanding in our mouth. Well, let me just say this. If you go out here and swim in Lake Dardanelle, you're not a fish. Right. And if you come to a faith church, doesn't mean you're living by faith. That's really good. Yeah. So that's what I want to talk about. I've been in this faith church 30 years. Well, I've been swimming in Lake Dardanelle for 30 years. But let's make sure we can clearly identify, are you a fish or are you not a fish? Now, I appreciate the fact you're a member here. That's great. But are we in our life living by faith? God doesn't call a specific local church in the area to live by faith. The church is called to teach faith, to equip the saints. That's what the church is called. And once again, I don't mean to nitpick. We're a faith church, okay? This is a faith church. But you understand what I'm saying. You understand the concept. The question I am asking is, do you live by faith? Or are you a member of a faith church? And there's a difference. There is a difference. There's a difference. Are you a member of a faith church and you live in worry and fear and doubt and come and amen sermons on faith? Or do you in your daily life live by faith? I want to talk for a few minutes. Clearly, and once again, I'm thrilled you go to a Word of Faith church. But be worried if you were going to a Word of Doubt church. So I'm glad you're going to a Word of Faith church. That's a good choice. But we're talking about living a lifestyle daily where you live, operate by faith. Now, to do this, it takes constant work. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but we don't teach how to live on fear. There's not a lot of places in town. I would love this morning to go to a seminar on doubt. You know, I would like to up my level of worry. And so I would love to read a book on how to be more of an effectual worrier. I'm going to try to, I can worry, and I can worry pretty good, but I'm not near like some people I see. So I need to get me some books on how to really be effectual in my worry. We don't have to do that. No one ever teaches our children to throw a fit. You aren't taught. You don't get your 18-month-old, now watch daddy. Let me get down on the floor and start kicking my feet, slamming my hands. Now watch. Now now you do what I'm doing. Well, nobody has to go through the motions of teaching an 18-month-old how to get in the floor and throw a fit. Okay, now look, let me teach you. When you're in a group playing, now a bunch of little children here, see this baby has this, that's mine. And then they reach and get it. You bite him right here on our jaw. Bitch, take a play. Okay, now watch me. Give me that. See, so here, let me get Mom on the floor with me. Let me teach you. That's macho. Okay, now pay attention now. We don't teach children. That is nothing. Well, how do they get so good at it? I mean, it's like it's Romans and a lot of places, Corinthians talk about they're born this way. It's called the natural man. It's called the carnal man. You are born to live in worry. And if you do what's natural, and if you wait for the natural course of events to take over, then you will worry. But if you're going to live by faith, you're going to have to do something to cause that to happen in your life. Constant effort. Get this. To live by doubt, you do nothing. To live by faith, you do something all the time. Or you go right back to doubt. It will take time. It will take effort. It will take money to live by faith. Time, effort. You got to drive to church where faith is taught. You got to pull up podcasts in your car on your way to work, on your way home from work. You got to listen to podcasts. You got to hear what Susan taught on Sunday morning 4 or 5 more times, not just last Wednesday night, but I need to hear Wednesday night at least 3 or 4 times to move it from here to down and here where it's a part of what I see. I have to spend money. I've got to buy books. I've got to drive out of town. I got to get a hotel room. I got to get to this conference, this 3-day conference they're having. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes money. It's what I call managing your life. You got to manage this. You don't open a business and see what happens. Because I can tell you what happens. You're going to go under. That's what will happen if you see what happens. The success of a business totally depends on how hard and how effective you manage it. But you don't see what happens. If you get the dictionary and you look up the word management. I'll give you number 1, number 2, number 3, the word manage, to exert control over. Number 1, the word manage, to exert control over. Number 2, make submission to one's authority. Manage, to make submission to one's authority. Number 3, discipline or persuasion. To live by faith, you will have to exert control over your life. And the second you let that control go, worry will be right there, fear will be right there, insecurity, that will just be right there instantly. It doesn't take you a long time to digress into it. It's just instantly there the instant you take your hand off the wheel. And there are no books on how to live insecure. There are no books on how to suffer from low self-esteem. Please, someone teach me. I want to get stronger in my low self-esteem. But you have to learn to manage your life. For us to live by faith, we have to manage our life. Okay, make sure you wrote this down. The definition of manage: to exert control over, to make submission to one's authority, and to discipline. To live by worry, fear, takes no thought. To live by doubt takes no work. To live in anxiety takes no management. To live by faith, you will be constantly exerting control over your life. It's a constant exertion. I got to make my tongue, I got to make my thoughts come into submission to my authority. All right, in this session, I got to get quick here. In this session, I want to talk about managing 3 areas of your life. When I teach, I like to do 3 points or 4 points or 5 points. And the reason I like to do that is when I'm still on 1, you can go, dear Lord, he's got a long way to go. But when I get to 3, you can say, yes, we're almost done. So that gives you a timeline. Because, see, you don't know how long I'm going to teach. You're just praying. But right now, you don't know. So 1, 2, 3, when I hit 3rd, you know I'm rounding 3rd and headed for home. So keep that in mind. To live by faith, you're going to have to exert control over, number 1, your thoughts. Number 2, your tongue. or your mouth. Number 3, your actions. If you're going to live by faith, I'm thrilled you're in a faith church. That's a good deal. But if you're going to now live by faith, you're going to have to manage. And that word means to exert control over your thoughts, your mouth, and your actions. Let's talk about those 3 things. Everything begins in our head. It begins in our thinking. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks. Okay, well, I think we all in here know. We're not talking about the blood pump. The heart means your mind. Your mind. Out of your thoughts, then the mouth speaks. And then when you say it, and y'all have been taught this, when you speak it, then it takes place. So it comes out into actions. Thoughts, mouth, actions. That's the progression. God thought about light. God said, let there be light, and there was light. Okay, you see the progression of these 3 areas, our thoughts, our tongue, and our actions. Now, to live by faith, we're going to have to exert control over these 3 areas. We're learning how to live by faith. In this church, we all know we're supposed to live by faith. We're well aware of that. Well, let's 1, 2, 3. How do I live by faith? Okay, number 1, we got to manage our thoughts. This is where living by faith begins. See, too often people come to church. They hear the word of faith. They get excited about the word of faith. Man, and I remember in 73, 74, 1975, Tom and I were traveling everywhere. Bonnie and we were going everywhere to hear it, or we were going somewhere to tell it. I mean, we were excited about the word of faith. Nobody ever told us that before. And so I grew up Methodist. We were excited about the word of faith. But in a short time, so many people fell away. The word was stolen. Y'all understand this. And it happened because they did not manage their thoughts. See, Proverbs says, as a man thinketh, so is he. Okay, what do I want to be? I want to be a faith man. You want to be a man or woman of faith, right? Okay, well, what are we going to first have to do? As a person thinketh, then so is he. If I want to be a faith person, then the first thing I'm going to have to do is think faith thoughts. I'm going to have to exert control over my mind and think thoughts of faith. Now, the key to doing that is to manage what goes in. See, faith comes by hearing the word. The question to constantly ask yourself as you are managing your thoughts, as you are exerting control over your thoughts. Well, Tim, I just can't control my thoughts. I just can't. Okay, what are you feeding yourself? See, we got a little saying in our church, garbage in, garbage out. See, but, okay, well, what are you putting in on a consistent basis? If I'm going to manage my thinking, then the thing I got to do is roll up my sleeves and manage what I am supplying myself with. And I'm shocked all the way to, and if you grandparents hadn't sat down to try to watch some Saturday morning cartoons with your kids, don't. Take them out in the yard and throw rocks at each other, but don't try to watch cartoons. The cartoon, the hero is the smart aleck. Yeah. Smart's off to the mom. Smart. Now the cute, the famous, the popular, the little hero, smart mouth, smarting off to mom and dad. And the more they smart off to their mom, the more their friends like them. Okay, what are we teaching in this children's show? Movies. You go to a movie or you watch a TV show, it's cute, it's funny, it's sharp, it's entertaining. Wait a minute. We got 2 men living together. Time out. This isn't a part of the show. See, it's funny, it's cute. What is okay and what is acceptable and what is cute and what is funny and what is our modern culture? Wait a minute, what are they teaching me? What's being fed in my mind? My friends, the people that I hang around. Last night, I was roping last night, and I only rope with 4 people that go to my church. That's just who I rope with. I mean, that's just where it is. I'm not going. Yeah, here's what's sad, and I'm going to tiptoe through this. But what's sad is I got family members. You know, and okay, we'll see you at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and y'all stay in the room and cook. I'll stay out here and watch football. I got family members that I can't spend a whole lot of time with. You just got to manage who is telling you what all the time. Your friends, people even that you may be kin to, you just got to be careful. Co-workers in the break room, you might need to take your break out in the truck. I mean, you know, you got if you're going to manage your thoughts, you have to manage what's coming into your thoughts. If you're going to manage your weight, how do you do that? Then you watch what you're putting in. Calories and cholesterol, and will this turn to sugar? And okay, to live physically healthy, I manage what comes in. You get this? Now, can we manage 100% and only have good input? No, because we are in this world. That's why 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Every thought. And we say this, y'all do too. You can't keep the birds from flying over your head, but you can keep them from building a nest in your hair. You know, you're going to have, well, I just had these bad thoughts. Well, you're always going to have bad thoughts. Don't be bummed out because you have bad thoughts. You have them all the time. Don't ponder them. Don't dwell on them. Don't let them stay there. Don't meditate on them. Don't feel bad. Well, I read my Bible, just have bad thoughts. Well, you're going to have bad thoughts. But don't let the bird just stay there and live there. You take that thought captive. Turn to Philippians 4:8. Your mind is a part of your body. And I try to teach our teenagers this all the time. Your mind is a part of your body, and you are in control of your body. How foolish for the police to pull you over for speeding and you say, I wasn't speeding. Well, I got you on radar. You were speeding. Wasn't me. Right foot. That right foot just pushing on that pedal. I kept saying, better not do that. I wish you wouldn't do that. I hate it that you're doing that. You see, but it just kept on pushing on that pedal. You know, the policeman would look at you. But I hear that every day. Well, Tim, my mind, she just pushed my buttons and my hair went in my mind. Well, Tim, my mind just ran off. Well, try telling the policeman the next time your foot just kept pushing on the pedal. Come on, your mind is just like your foot or your arm. I didn't hit that person. Right fist just doubled up and bloodied his nose, but I said you shouldn't have done that. Come on, we got to get control of our minds. You exert control over that. Philippians 4:8. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true, what is honorable, what is right, what is pure, what is lovely, admirable. Think about these things that are excellent, worthy of praise. Why did Paul write the church at Philippi and tell them to fix your thoughts? Think about these things. Why? Because they naturally won't. He didn't say, okay, throw in a little worry. From time to time, balance your life with a little fear and doubt. You're going to do that. Why did he say, fix your thoughts? Think about these things. Paul wouldn't have told the Philippians to think about these things if they could not control their mind. What is the innuendo? What is being said that's not really spelled out for us? What's being said that's not really spelled out for us is you have the ability to think about whatever you want to think about. Here's what I'm telling you to think about. Your mind can lock in on, I hate that, sorry, I'm going one day, by God, I'll get. Your mind can fixate on that. But here's what I'm telling you. You better fix your mind on what is lovely. It's worthy of praise. What's good. Here's what I get out of that. What I get out of Philippians 4:8 is I have the ability 100% of the time to think about whatever it is I decide to think about. It'd be very unfair for there to be a scripture telling me to think about something that I couldn't think about. He said, well, I hope it works out for you because your mind, no man can control the mind. No, fix your mind on this. Think about this right here because you have 100% control of your right foot. Here's you a ticket, sir. Thank you. Have a good day. Slow it down. It wasn't me. You got control over your foot. You got control over your fist. And you got control over your mind. Your mind gets control. You get control over your mind. To live by faith, you have to manage your thoughts. Number 2, you have to manage your tongue. What's the definition of manage? To exert control over. To make submission to your authority. To discipline. Oh, Tim, I tell you, my mouth now, I tell you, my mouth, it just gets me in trouble all the time now. I'm just telling you now, boy, a drop of a hat, my mouth just, wasn't me speeding, my foot just kept pushing on that. If you want to give a ticket, you just give it to this right foot. Why do we talk like our mouth is completely out of our control? Tim, my mouth, I'm just going to be the first one to tell you, and I've always had trouble with my mouth. My mouth, why are you talking like that is another outside object that's not under your ability to exert control over? Yet just listen to people talk and they will refer to their mouth like it's someone else. To live by faith, you're going to have to take control of your mouth. You have to take control of your mouth. Have you ever noticed we have no seminars on talking negatively? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever gone to the bookstore and seen a bestseller developing pessimism in your mouth? How to be better at talking negative. I'm thinking of the titles. Have you ever seen How to Be a Chronic Pessimist? You've never seen a book on that. Not one time, not ever. Now, you have to understand what comes naturally is, well, that won't work. What comes naturally is, it's killing me. Oh, I'm just dying. What comes naturally, or nobody taught you to say that. Nobody got you in the floor and told you how to be stingy. Nobody got you in the floor and taught you how to throw a fit. So, that's what I would automatically say. I'm good at it with no effort. Now, if I want to say something positive, if I want positive to come out in my home, in my family, around my kids, then I will have to constantly exert control over my mouth. And we go to a faith church and we just act like we're going to be this great faith person. To speak positive, to speak the word, you will have to manage your tongue. You know the word. You hear it week in and week out. But you will have to manage your tongue. People come to our church. They hear the word of faith. They recognize and identify what they're missing in their life. They desire to be a man or a woman of faith. But they exercise no management over their tongue. And you're just shocked at what they just said. When you feel a little lump, your first thought and your first words are it's cancer. It's never, I've got a mosquito bite. When your heart, your first thought, your first words, oh, I've got a heart attack. It's never, whoa, I had too much coffee this morning. You got to understand what the carnal man, what that puts on you, and to live by faith, how much management, exerting control over that carnal nature that you are required to walk in. And somehow we want to come to a faith church and think we're just going to walk in faith. You will never live by faith unless you understand that your tongue will take constant management. From now on, you don't ever get to the place where it doesn't take constant management. First step, manage your thoughts, because that feeds your mouth. I'm constantly listening to the Word, hearing teaching on the Word, hear music that's written from the Word. I'm with friends who speak the Word. Now, I understand that I hear the word of faith. Now, I'm going to have to take all the word that I'm hearing and now exert control over my mouth, and I don't just let it run out on its own. I hear about making money. I have a desire to own my own business and make money. So I go down and rent me a building. Six months later, this business stuff doesn't work for me. I tried it, but it just, I wanted to. There was a time in my life where I really wanted to, but it just don't work. It didn't work for me. That's all a bunch of bull. You never, not one time, managed an inventory stocked in that business and made that produce financially for your life. You just rented a building. And that's what we have people doing in the faith movement. They're going to rent a building, and then where'd they go? It didn't work for me. I guess it works for some of them down there, but it sure doesn't work for me. They never exerted control over their thoughts, never exerted control over their mouth, and managed this business to a financial success where it was greatly benefiting their life. We heard the word of faith in the early 70s, and we started managing our mouth. We started managing our thinking. We started managing the way we lived, and it greatly has benefited our life. Greatly benefited the life that we live in. I'm going to talk more about this tonight. I am apologizing right now. I'm so excited about tonight. I keep getting into what I'm going to talk about tonight. Strike everything I just said. That's not for today. If you're going to live by faith, I just got into it. If you're going to live by faith, number one, you got to manage your thoughts. Number two, you got to manage your tongue, your mouth. And number three, you have to manage your actions. You just have to manage your actions. I don't go to a bar and get a Diet Coke, shoot pool, and watch Monday Night Football. That's not where I go. I'm managing my actions. I have to exert control. What's wrong with it? I'm not done, I'm not doing, what's wrong with it? I'm just telling you got to manage your life. I don't go driving around town at 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't do that. I wake up, I have to turn over and go back to sleep, or I just lay there. But I'm not going to go driving around town 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't go out with friends who drink. I'm not around a bunch of drinking friends. I'm not going to be with friends who drink. I'm not going to run with them. I'm not going to ride with them. I'm not going to be in the car with them. And it's being passed around. I'm managing my actions. Oh, I just can't believe that happened to me. You should have never been there. A lot of this sermon came to me some weeks ago. Terry and I were watching 60 Minutes, or the truth is I think it was 2020. It was a though 2020, they do real life stories and it's a documentary. Well, things started and I just kind of got captivated. Beautiful girl. She was 15 at the time. Now she's 18 or 19 or whatever. Very affluent family, house, good, great looking mom and dad, sharp people. I mean, you could tell they were educated, sharp people. Well, they're interviewing them. What happened? All right, the story unfolds. She was at a party and she got raped. And the police are doing nothing about it. They have not found the person who did it, and they want justice served. And so here I am. I mean, we're more into this story, but I can't believe this happened to the girl. Okay, well, go to commercial. You go to commercials last longer than the show. So you go to commercial, they last so long, and on commercials, I don't even know what they're trying to sell me these days in time. I get confused at the commercial. So then I about try to remember what the show is about. So we come back to the show. All right. The dad, he just can't believe this. Can't believe this. Okay, now we start getting into the story. Okay, so okay, now why have we not caught the guy? Well, we're not sure who the guy is, and they won't find out who it was. Well, that's pretty close contact. How do you not know who it was? Well, we don't know who it was. Well, the story goes on. She's 15 years old. Well, she was drunk and she'd passed out. And so some of her friends, and they had some pictures from the party, and they had a friend on each arm and each leg, and they were dragging her into a bedroom and threw her up on a bed, and she was throwing up so violently, and she was completely out of her mind. Well, there was no parents there. So as the night goes on, all these 15 and 16-year-olds, the drunkenness of it was mind-boggling. Well, the next day, this girl wakes up, and she didn't have any clothes on, so she figures out, well, this must have happened to me. Well, nobody at the party could we interview could say what happened, because they were all so out of their mind. And not one time did the interviewer, not one time did the dad, not one time did the mom say, you know, she shouldn't have been there. Here's what when you put yourself in a place you shouldn't have been, then things happen to you that should have never happened. And so you think, you know, how, and this whole story was shocking to me because it was never about a bunch of 15 and 16-year-old kids being where they shouldn't have been, without parents that they should have had, and what we were fighting about and arguing about, to me, wasn't even the point of this whole story. It was amazing to me as how all of this unfolded. And I thought, wow. As I'm watching this, I'm thinking, many people can't live by faith because they won't position themselves in the right place to live by faith. And that's all I could think about while I was watching this story unfold is, you want to live by faith? Well, are you going to parties and entertainment and to church? And you want to live by faith, but we see you in church once or twice a month. I mean, you want to live by faith, then you've got to position yourself for that to be a possibility. You're so upset about doubt and fear and I just worry. I'm just worried. Okay, well, where do you got to manage your actions, and you can't keep putting here's another defining moment in my life. God teaches me spiritual lessons in the weirdest things. But I got a good friend that owns cattle trucks. You know, the double-deckers, the kind that you hate to get behind on a motorcycle on a hot day. Double-decker cattle trucks. He has 80 of those things. Ships cattle from the Mexican border to Colorado. And, you know, he was going into telling me the difficulty that they're having with all of the regulations. You know, you got to pull that truck over and stop it every 8 hours for 8 hours. And he said, we just have to lie or falsify the record. When you get those cattle on that truck, you got to go straight there and get them off of that truck. And he said, here, and it just, I kind of lost consciousness. He said, Tim, nothing good can happen for a cow in that cattle truck. He said, you know, I don't put them in there with a runny nose and they come out well. I don't run them in there weighing 1,100 pounds and we get there and they weigh 1,350. I don't put 120 cows in there and we get there and all of them have a calf that's standing up strong and nursing. And he just kept going through all these scenarios. And he said, you can't name, not one good thing can happen to a cow in the cattle truck. And he said, all we can do is hope nothing too bad happens. Because they're going to lose weight. They're going to get sick. One or two is going to get a broke leg. One's going to fall down and get trampled and probably can't get back up. What the best we can hope for is nothing too bad happens in that cattle truck. I've written, I don't even know how many sermons off of that one lesson he gave me. But in your life, are you in places there's not anything good that can happen there. And the only thing you can do is just hope nothing bad happens to you. That's the only thing you can hope for. Tim, show me in the Bible where I can't go to a bar and watch Monday Night Football and just drink Diet Coke. Show me in the Bible where I can't go. In all of my life, go do what you want to do. I'm going to tell you this. In all of my life, a regular attendee at a bar doesn't come out and go, boy, that has really built a great marriage. Not one great marriage has been built by regular attendance there. Not one father-child relationship has gone to a new height by a dad who goes and spends countless hours there. Not one. I've never heard. Boy, my dad and I was 7, 8, 9 years old, spent nights, hours, days at the bar, and boy, we just got so close. He never came home, we just got so close. I've never heard of anybody getting deeper in the Word by regular attendance there. I've never heard of anybody going there on a regular basis and health coming to them. Just like this guy's telling me, going down the line of all of the bad things and not one good thing is possible. Not one good thing is possible to happen to a cow in that cattle truck. Not one. You can't think of one good thing that happened to her. You just hope. I'm in here, and my hope is that I don't lose my marriage while my hope is that a fight doesn't break out and I get stabbed and I wasn't even in it. The only hope I got is I don't get hit in the head with a pool cue. I'm just sitting here watching TV, but I'm just hoping that, are you understanding this? For you to live by faith, you will have to manage your actions. And you have to manage them all the time. Where you put yourself, where you spend time, where you spend consistent time, what good can happen there? Terry and I go on vacation 2 or 3 times a year with Ashley and Michelle. They were just here Sunday. We just went to Alaska with them. I didn't go with somebody who wasn't going to speak the word to me. We're going to be on this thing for 7 days. Somebody is not going to speak a bunch of fear and worry and doubt and worrying over their kid, worrying over their finances, worrying over their health. And I got to listen to that all day on vacation. I'm going to go to if I'm going on vacation for 7 days, I'm on vacation, somebody's going to speak the word to me the whole time we're there. I'm going to hear the word. We're on a ship. I don't want somebody talking about the movie Titanic. I don't want to hear about that. For years, I drove an hour and a half up here to rope with Tom. Do you know how many roping pins I drove past? Do you know how many roping pins I drove past between here? That mountain's high and long and curvy. We don't drive way off up at Tim. Rope with us here. Rope with us here in Dardanelle. Rope with us here in Ola. Rope with us right up here in Jessville. What a big roping pin right up north Jessville. Come rope with us. Well, you get there at 7, the drinking starts at 9, the roping's on for anybody who can get on. Clearly, it cost me more money. Clearly, it cost me time. Absolutely, it's not convenient. But I don't want to be in a place where nothing good can happen. I want to be always in a place where good will be the result of me being there. You've got to manage, you've got to exert control over your life. To live by faith. You can't go to a church that preaches faith. Now, I'm glad you're here, and I hope I've said that enough. But to live by faith, you can't just go to a church that preaches faith and call yourself good. You have to hear that word and then leave there and manage your thoughts, your words, and your actions. I can't wait till tonight. Y'all stand. Lord, today as we stop from our schedules and all that we got to do today, and we unplug from that, we come and put ourselves in a position to hear the word. Now, Lord, as we've heard this word, we roll up our sleeves and go to work with this. I'm going to take control over my thoughts. My mind, you're not in control here no longer. Mind, you're under my authority. Everybody say it with me. Mind, you're under my authority.
You're under my authority.
I'm exerting control over my mind right now. I'm exerting control over what my thoughts are. Right now, I'm taking that mind under control. Say it with me. Tongue, you're under my authority. I exert control over you. Okay, we're not going to, my tongue. Come on, right now. I'm exerting control over my mouth. My mouth's not going to continue to just run away with me. I'm getting hold of my mouth. Say it with me. I'll go where I'm supposed to go. I'll not be where I'm not supposed to be. Okay, now we're going to manage our actions. God, we put ourselves in, not just one day a week on Sunday morning, but all throughout the day, Lord, I position myself to grow, to mature, to gain knowledge, and for my faith to well up inside me. I put myself in a position for that to happen. And Lord, I ask you to forgive me for all the countless times I've been where I shouldn't have been. Lord, I ask you to forgive me of that. And I get out of this cattle truck and I'm going to get out in some green pastures. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.